Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you ever heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there's life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu, or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? What if tomorrow you were on the fringe? Welcome to another episode of On the Fringe. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
Man, tonight we've got just a fun show. Something Mark and I were kind of chatting about. Kind of a quick. What we decide? Like Sunday or Monday, something like that.
Monday, I think.
Researching was kind of tough, but I think we got it done. Yeah, man, it's just kind of been a hectic week with work, trying to get our shows put together. Kind of everything on a short notice. We do have one we talked about today, actually planning for Monday. I think it'll be a fun show. But we'll talk more about that later towards the end of the show. First things first, do us a favor, check us out, whatiftomorrowmedia.com. Follow us over there, help support the show through our affiliates, My Patriot Supply, Duke Cannon, Conflicted the Game, and EMP Shield. Those are some big ones. What is up, brothers? Hey, Ben, you want to jump on with us if you want? Yeah, man, I mean, this is going to be a fun show tonight. I want to dig into it because it's just it's exciting. We had some technical difficulties starting out, or before Mark and I were backstage. My camera wasn't working, my mic wasn't working, nothing was working, so I had to reboot everything and kind of reload everything on my computer. I actually had to run downstairs for a second, hustle back up, and I only had 30 seconds to spare. Hey Jess, how you doing?
There we go.
And yeah, I had 30 seconds to spare. So hopefully we got everything. And I had a video from Jeremy Corbell talking about tonight's topic. It was a quick little snippet where he talks about, hey, right now there's UFOs over the battlefield. And hey, what's up, Sonny? But, throughout history, Mark and I have talked, through the research, things like that. I mean, throughout history, that is a common element to warfare.
They're often seen near battles. So,
I mean, we'll get more into it, I'm sure, because I just want to run through some of these examples, all the way. let me throw these up real quick, kind of build a history on this. That way you guys don't think, hey, we're just pulling it out of our butts, and, but yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, Martians visiting Gettysburg, after the Battle of Gettysburg, they're checking it out. I mean, honestly, it's common. I mean, everybody pretty well knows the whole UFO shutting down, especially in this space. They know that the UFOs are shutting down nuclear silos, or they're over nuclear testing areas or bases, kind of like Rendlesham and all that. Everybody kind of knows that, so we started digging, and there's another story I'll get to here in a second where they believe George Washington was visited by an extraterrestrial being, and that blew my mind because I'd never heard that. But, here we are, we're talking the Civil War, the 1860s. Another one. Here's another one on Civil War. This is actually from Ancient Alienpedia, from the Ancient Alien sites. They talk about the founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith, seeing an extraterrestrial that, some say angel, I guess depends on what you talk about. But they said that this alien spoke to him and predicted the start of the Civil War.
Yeah.
And he says, well, yeah, go ahead.
No, I said it's just crazy how this pops up so much during history.
Right. I mean, our buddies over at UFO Garage obviously know more about it than we do. I mean, this is their wheelhouse. This is just something we enjoy in passing. But yeah, there's a story said William Henry, he wrote, was telling the story, said the story is that while at Valley Forge, General Washington had given his men orders not to disturb him, and suddenly there's a being standing there, and this being is described as being extremely luminous. And next thing we know is this being starts giving Washington a prophecy about a future of America. I mean, I'm scrolling too fast here. Let me get back to it here. Said, according to the story, this luminous being not only gave Washington a vision of the future United States, but also warned that the Union would be tested. Oh, dang it, Siri, shut up.
She's nosy.
I know she is, but also warned that the Union would be tested by the Civil War. Is it possible that both George Washington and Joseph Smith were visited by extraterrestrial beings who somehow knew that the Civil War would take place? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest even stronger evidence can be found with strange encounters that were reported not by lone individuals, but by entire communities. While UFO sightings were extremely rare before the 1900s, a number were reported during the final years leading up to the war. You know, I don't know on this one here. I don't know if you could call it divine intervention. By definition, if it was an angel, by definition, an angel is an extraterrestrial. Yeah. By definition, they're not of this earth. Even so far, I mean, God is not, or is extraterrestrial by definition. So where do you go with this? Did it happen? They say that our founders, when we kind of touched on this here a couple episodes ago, when we were talking about the prophecy and all that stuff, but our founders were religious men. So could it have been a visitation by an angel or an ET or something like that? I absolutely think it could have been.
I mean, you don't know.
Right.
It just amazes me, the things that I found, even though they were fairly few. Now, I've read all kinds of stuff about it, but for some reason, when I went to do this search, it's like the internet had been expunged of it. Pardon me. It's like everything that I had read just disappeared.
Right. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, because it just happened up here. I did a Google search for UFO sightings over battlefields earlier, before my computer went to junk. Was, hey, Oracles, how are you doing? But before I had to restart my computer, I couldn't find anything. I had to specifically search for each topic for each war, or battle or whatever, to get the information. It wouldn't pop up on the search. And then when I reset everything, I did a search and you were right here. I mean, bam, it was all right there. Everything I looked up plus some. So I don't know. It's crazy.
It's weird.
But no, go ahead.
No, I mean, everybody's heard of the Foo Fighters from World War II.
Right.
Korean War, a bunch of soldiers claim that UFOs made them sick. I mean, it's happened a lot. And what really prompted this discussion was there's a lot of claims of UFOs over the Ukraine right now during their war over there. Now, a lot of people are going poo-pooing on that and saying it's all drones. But, I mean, yeah, I could buy that. Some of them at least probably are drones.
Yeah.
But some of them are moving way too fast to be drones. And we've seen them long before drone technology ever came back. I could not find a good source for it, but I saw a video earlier this week uh, about a battle in like 75 BC, where a battle was stopped by a UFO appearing in between the two armies. So this stuff has been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, now, especially Jess, you're hanging out watching. Don't shoot me. I'm using Wikipedia real quick.
oh no,
But-
not Wikipedia.
But in 1561, they're talking about Nuremberg.
Yeah, that was a battle over Nuremberg, is how they described
Yeah,
it.
that's how they describe that. Yeah. But yeah, we're talking Civil War, World War One. Let me get my stuff here straight. There's a claim from World War One that the Red Baron actually shot down a flying saucer.
I mean, it could happen.
I guess, because at that time they were calling them phantom airships. Caused a huge panic. I'm just kind of going through these here. So it can be let's see, the author of UFOs of the First World War says it can be regarded as the first ever official guide to the studying UFO reports long before the CIA or any other organization got with the subject when flying saucer sightings were all the rage after World War II. It says during World War I, there were numerous reports of mysterious lights and objects moving about in the skies. These were studied by the Assistant Director of Military Aeronautics, a post held by Lieutenant Colonel W.S. Brinker, the Department of Military Training, and by the Brinker and Kell can be regarded as the first Mulder and Scully who studied the flow of UFO type reports that flowed in their offices. So, now, I mean, World War I was the first flying war.
Yeah,
that took everything to a whole new perspective. They couldn't. Granted, they couldn't go, 30,000 feet and engage in combat at that time. They were maybe 8,000 foot, probably tops.
Yeah,
and so these guys saw this. I mean, with my own experience in the military, I mean, watching air to air is some seriously cool crap. You can't take your eyes away from it. Even if it is training or whatever, watching the aircraft maneuver. And if you're in a wartime situation, guys stop to watch this, especially if it was a phantom airship.
Right.
Now, you touched on the Foo Fighters, from World War II.
Yes. There was a bunch of sightings on that. There's whole pages of it, especially over Germany. A lot of cylindrical or cigar-shaped craft, floating lights that floated just off their wingtips, followed them. Oh, by the way, a Fokker D1 triplane has a service ceiling of 20,000 feet, believe it or not.
So I'm guessing they had onboard oxygen. How do they have? I didn't think they were using onboard oxygen. I don't know. I don't know.
That's what it says.
That's crazy to think about. I mean, they're all open cockpit. There wasn't a closed cockpit. They obviously weren't pressurized, in 1918 or whatever.
The plane could fly that high. The pilots, some of them might have been able to.
Right. I mean, I guess if they were, what do they call the Sherpas or whatever?
Well, yeah. I read an article not too long ago that said the amount of time you can hold your breath or go without oxygen is directly proportional to the size of your spleen. The bigger your spleen, the longer you can hold your breath.
Man, I must be able to hold my breath for a long time. Isn't that what it's all down here? I mean, is that my spleen?
Well, I hope that's my spleen because otherwise I'm really, really fat. No. I am really, really fat.
But it's amazing to think.
Oh, there he
I'm
is.
still trying to wrap. What's that?
You got real slow and then you got real fast.
Oh, got it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around, a biplane taking on one of these things, especially if they're the same technology that we're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the top speed of a biplane? It can't be.
We're talking speed of 110.
100 what?
110 for a Fokker D1.
Yeah, I mean that's a 172.
It's slower than a 172.
Slow. Yeah.
I could strap a couple of handguns to a small Cessna and outfly a Fokker D1.
Right.
Or go faster anyway.
I'm trying to. I'm still trying to picture in my head how these guys can turn with this. I would say if it is that kind of technology, if it is today's technology, like Commander Fravor reported in the Nimitz Encounter, going from 0 to stupid fast. I don't remember how fast, but it was thousands of miles an hour in a heartbeat. There's no way. I mean, if our F-18, E's and F's can't keep up with it right now, there's no way in hell that a Fokker could put up with it.
I have an explanation for that.
What you got?
I think the UFOs are just showing up at places they think are interesting. Battlefields are interesting, yes?
Yeah.
So it made the same mistake that first MiG that got shot down in Vietnam did. Had to come in low and slow to get a good look. Well,
yeah,
the Fokker D1 was known for its maneuverability. It turns tight. And so it goes in low and slow, and he gets him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be. That's my explanation anyway.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, we'll do some more speculation here in a little bit. I just want to touch on some more of this stuff. Like we talked about the Foo Fighters, the balls of light, was it balls of lightning? Was it drones of some sort? Nobody really knows. They turn toward the light and they disappear, just as this article says. I mean,
stuck with them for all through their maneuvers.
Right. It says one night in November 1944, Bristol
several of them said that it didn't matter what they did.
Yeah. Said pilot Edward Schulter, radar observer Donald J. Myers, and intelligence officer Fred Ringwald was flying along the Rhine north of Strasbourg. They described seeing 8 to 10 bright orange lights off the left wing, flying through the air at high speed. Neither the airborne radar nor ground control registered anything nearby. Yeah, and this is where we get into today's technology with the Aegis cruiser. The Princeton, like Gary Voorhees was on. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
I mean,
just put it so
that's
aliens
what it
just
seems like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Cameras around their necks, and
are they watching our advancement? Are they watching us like we're their science experiment? Maybe I don't know. There's so much we can.
Maybe they're watching us like we go to the zoo and watch the monkeys.
Very well could be. I just watched
a monkey. Look at the monkey fly.
Yeah, I just watched a. Oh dang it! I'm trying to close these out and think at the same time. It's not working too well. But I just watched Twilight Zone that had that, these guys landed on Mars and they found a civilization. One of them died and they put him in his, they supposedly built him a house and all that. And it turned out to be like a zoo enclosure. So people could say, this is an earthling.
Right.
Now we moved from World War II, the Foo Fighters, all that. Obviously, they're unknown. And you touched on a little bit ago to where, let me get this up here. Dozens of Korean War GIs claimed a UFO made them sick. It was like a heat weapon. It said what happened after the pulsing, attacking light, the lingering, debilitating symptoms would mystify man for decades to come. So a microwave weapon, a laser, it sounds to me, just reading through the article, I'm not going to read the whole thing.
And it seemed to be immune to their weapons.
Right. It says they were preparing to bombard a nearby village with artillery. All of a sudden, the soldier saw a strange light up in the hills, like a jack-o'-lantern coming wafting down across the mountain. Or is it another being, or is it us interceding? Us from the future. They see where all this leads. Is it us? I don't know. They see all this and they intercede to prevent something. War in its own is tragic because of the innocence that's lost. Not just the innocent people, but a person's innocence. You take a 18-year-old kid, put a rifle in his hand, and you send him out to kill somebody. That his innocence is gone.
Yeah.
I know we're getting a little philosophical here, but it's the truth. So is it somebody trying to save something? And again, I only went up to Vietnam.
There was quite a bit of activity in Vietnam.
Yeah. Just here real quick, says, by all accounts, it seems that troops in the Vietnam War were absolutely plagued by UFO activity, and some of the most spectacular reports of alien encounters during the Vietnam War have to do with actual military engagements with UFOs. One such incident allegedly occurred June 15, 1968, along the DMZ between North and South Vietnam, when a patrol boat known as PCF-12, commanded by a Lieutenant Pete Snyder, was on a routine night patrol near Qua Viet at 12:30 a.m. PCF-12 reportedly received a frantic distress call from another patrol boat in the vicinity. PCF-19 claimed that they were being attacked by unidentified lights they were calling enemy helicopters, which seemed odd because the North Vietnamese enemy were not known to utilize combat helicopters at the time. That's just a quick synopsis of it. It drags on. So again, what is it? And what's
it's unidentified? That's
right.
We know.
I want to play this video real quick. Now we're up to modern day. This is in Iraq. If you can't hear it, let me know, because I'm still getting used to this stuff. Share system audio.
Big vertical streaks.
It's a country that's been at war for half a decade, so it's nothing new to see aircraft in the skies above Iraq. But the web's alive with questions over footage which seems to show something else.
I have no idea what the hell they are.
Earlier this year, a group of Marines saw something in their night vision that they couldn't explain.
Is that the main one over there?
They were used to seeing flares on the skyline, but this they thought was different. This video shows the aftermath of a bombing in the northern city of Kirkuk in September 2006. As the cameras capture the rescue effort, one is taken by an object on the skyline. Lastly, dating from 1998, a triangular object over Baghdad that disappears as quickly as it arrives.
That's weird stuff.
Yeah. So, I could see that the dots at the end of it being a drone, because because that is where we really started engaging drones. I remember my brother talking about during the Gulf War, he was on the battleship Missouri, And they had drones then. They were going out and marking targets and measuring targets and all that for, the battleships to attack. But we really didn't engage with the drones until, Afghanistan and Iraq, with Predator, and you saw all the different robots and stuff coming out. That's when they were saying that, or the government was saying they want to be 25% unmanned by I forget what day or date. So let's speculate now. I mean, I've kind of run through all the little articles and stuff that we've got, talked about them. Could it be them just coming in, checking us out? They're curious. Like you're saying.
Yeah, let's see what these idiots are up to.
Yeah. Is it somebody trying to intercede, because again, we kind of touched on it a little bit ago, to where they're going over all these nuclear sites, like Los Alamos and all that when we were testing in the 40s and the 50s. And it seemed to ramp up after Roswell. And so are they curious? Are they like, well, these monkeys are going to blow themselves up, so let's just watch the show? Or are they trying to intercede? Are they testing our capabilities? Strategically,
I would say that's probably likely.
Strategically, that would be the wise thing to do. They can't touch me. They've tried and tried. I mean, you hear the evidence. In Vietnam, they were firing on them. World War I, they were firing on them. I mean, we're human. We are a warlike species. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
I mean, we get new technology. The first thing we want to do is kill something with it.
It's true. Everything that comes out, they're trying to weaponize. I mean,
yeah,
everything.
So is that the case? Are they like these idiots, man? I mean, we have so much, or could it be they're benevolent, and they're like, we want to share this with you, but you're not ready. You guys are too busy trying to kill each other.
They're going to disintegrate themselves.
Right. When you think about, the ancient alien hypothesis, or if you think about, the civilization theory where, 13,000 years ago, there was another advanced civilization, before this cataclysmic event happened and turned us into another ice age, which would it be? I mean, could they be from there? Could they been a remnant or something from that previous civilization and say, no, guys, this is what we did, and this is what is going to happen if you stay down this path? Or vice versa. Is it, you guys need to do this to take control? They say, like that, what is it? The Draconians are warlike, the whole lizard people thing and all that, which I'm not a huge subscriber to. Again, it's a possibility, I believe, but are they? Theory. It is. Or or is it the malevolent side? You guys wipe each other out, and the remnants, you'll be our slaves. You go back to the Stone Age and you start again. Is that what happened?
And going back to your ancient civilizations, what if it got just a little bit more advanced than us and was able to send people to other planets, and they're coming back and say, oh my God, look what happened to our house.
Right. Because there's evidence, I think in India, if I remember right, of nuclear weapons being detonated way in the past, before this 13,000 year period. Oh,
records of something. Are you still there?
Yeah. Is that me or you?
I'm not sure. It looks like I've got a solid connection.
Yeah, I'm good here too. I don't know. Maybe we glitched a little bit, but yeah. You were saying there was written records?
Yes. Of describing what sounds like soldiers with rifles, aircraft bombing each other, and possible nuclear weapon discharge.
Right.
I forget what the name of the book is, but it's really old.
It's probably
I'll,
is it probably Von Däniken or something like that wrote it, or
No, I mean this record is old. I mean it's
Hmm.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's
Okay.
been around for a long time. Now Van Däniken, I think, referenced it on several occasions. Let me just check on Wormhole here.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, I think maybe if they were in a position where they could destroy themselves with nukes, I mean,
They would have.
who knows? I mean, they say, like in India, I think it's India or the Far East or something like that, saying there's evidence of like nuclear explosions and
Yeah, there's several references to it on this search I just did. I cannot find the name of the document that I was looking for, but
Okay.
I see all sorts of deals where people are both purporting and trying to disprove the records of the ancient nuclear war. So,
Well, isn't there something on Mars, like some kind of little balls or something like that? They said the only way that they could form is through a nuclear blast or something
well,
like that.
it could have been an impact too.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not finding the name of this book.
That's okay.
So, but it's
another. I'll go ahead.
It's been talked about a lot. I'll find it and have Chris put it up in the show notes.
Gotcha. Another thought, possible theory that I've had, especially recently, with the Nimitz Encounter and all that, obviously, because it just came out like last week, the Navy saying, no, a lot of this information still needs to be classified. How much of these sightings, is ours in development? They'll deny it all day long. They'll say, oh, no, that can't be it. They'll deny it all day long. That's a gimme. I'm not convinced a lot of it. I'm sure some of it isn't, but I'm not convinced a lot of it is ours in test,
Yeah. I mean, you've got scientists saying we're less than 100 years away from possibly creating a faster than light drive system.
Right.
So if the military is 50 years ahead of us, what the hell do they got now?
Right. Or even the comment Ben Rich said, it was in the 80s, I think, when he said, we have the technology to take ET home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anything. I mean, he said something along the lines of, if you have seen it or if you can imagine it, we've already done it. Talking about the technology of Star Trek, things like that. So to me, that's pretty telling, because Ben Rich, if for those that don't know, he was like the CEO of Lockheed Skunk Works.
That would make him seem to have the knowledge to do it.
Right. I mean, to me, that's pretty credible.
Yeah.
And then you think about, especially today's sightings. Again, I'm not convinced they're not our stuff. Are they part of a secret space force? Are they part of just research and development, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's very possible.
So I don't know. It's hard to say for definitely, what they are, what they have to do. But I just find it curious that they're over battlefields, and I find it even more curious as to why the hell are we firing at them?
Yeah, there was a guy not too long ago came out with evidence that we shoot at them all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I understand protecting troops on the ground. I absolutely understand that.
Of course.
But if this thing can go 0 to 1,200 miles an hour or whatever in a split second, nothing in our inventory can touch it. Absolutely nothing.
Just want to waste some missiles? How many millions
Right.
did that cost us?
Right. Let alone, I mean, if you're firing,
I feel like spending a few $1 million. Let's shoot at a UFO.
Right. It's just, it makes no sense. Again, like I mean, playing devil's advocate, I totally get protecting the troops on the ground. Absolutely do. And in reality, that's a lot of what combat aviation's about.
Right. Exactly.
Holding your air superiority to protect the people on the ground. That's just tactics. But they know now, as many reports as we've had recently, in the last 20 years, they know that we're not the toughest kids on the block, that we don't have the best aircraft on the block unless they're ours. Like we touched on last episode, we were kind of talking about this. And how long was, I mean, the F-117 was in service for what, 10, 15 years before they told anybody about it, before they released it. Again, the F-22 is a late 1980s design airframe.
Yeah. It takes forever to get that stuff into production.
Right. The F-35 is just now coming online. They're farming it out now, or selling it, or starting up the squadrons are just now coming online. And when I was in the Marine Corps, they were testing them. Boeing and Lockheed were in the competition. And I'm telling you, and this was 20 years ago.
Right.
The technology that they had planned and were able to demonstrate will blow your freaking mind. 20 years ago. Stuff that we don't even see today in our field.
No.
And we work aviation. I mean, and you still don't see diagnostics setups like that. It blew my mind. And this is 20 years ago. All this technology, the new hot, the whole new hot iPhone or whatever is old school,
nothing.
man. It's old technology.
Yeah.
And even to think about Ray Kurzweil, and we'll touch on him later in another show, maybe even Monday, because he's part of that whole movement. But was it probably 10 years ago, I watched an interview with him, and he's saying within the next 20 years, your phone will be the size of a blood cell and have, I can't remember how many times more capacity for data in it. So does that, I mean, again, this is kind of tying into the next week or to Monday's show.
You'll get a clear block and the phone is only going to take up the corner of it. The rest of it's
Right.
going to be a screen.
Right. So, and even in that case, we're just talking a little bit of tech right now. When I was in Japan I'm getting old, in 99, I had to think for a second. When I was in Japan in 99, the tech they had 23 years ago, I worked with a Japanese guy whose cell phone was probably 2-3 inches by about an inch, had one button on it, and he just talked into it, told it what to call, and that's what they did. It was tiny.
Yeah, they have wearable translators now that you can put on and will translate whatever language that you've programmed into it into your ear and you. I mean, it's crazy, the technology that's available right now. And remember, we're 50 years behind what the military has.
Right. And that just goes to show,
12 to 50.
Like I said, 20 years ago, they were testing the Joint Strike Fighter, the F-35, and now they're just coming online. And they just went down fleet-wide because they have Chinese-made computer chips. I found hilarious, but that's beside the point. So is it, you've heard all this talk about.
And China just came out with a similar fighter.
Huh, go figure. Freaking retards. But if you think about it, I lost my train of thought, man. I'm out of it. It's been a long
Sorry,
day.
I didn't mean to do that to you, man.
Oh, you're good.
That effect on people.
Yeah, it's been a long, crazy day. But just technology-wise, are they? You remember? Okay, I'm back now. If you remember the talk, the I'll say rumor because I don't know if there's any proof to it. Where the aliens struck up a deal with Eisenhower, allowing them to take some people in trade for technology. Could this technology, the advancement in the technology, be from that?
It could. If it's true, it definitely could.
Because it wasn't long after that we went to the moon, built the first space station. It was all there.
Right.
So here's a theoretical. I know because I know a lot of people. Well, it's the Earth's the radiation belt or whatever it's called. We went to the moon in the late 60s, early 70s. Why did we stop?
They claim it was because of money and lack of interest. I don't recall there ever being a lack of interest.
Right.
And I think that we just stopped hearing about it. I think it still happened, and they just didn't televise it. They just kept it quiet.
Was it one of those things, with the whole secret Space Force? They got that into play. And
I think it's totally plausible.
They're trying to throw us off, to where, well, there's nothing up there. We kind of went when we got, we got bored with it, or people lost interest, which I don't see people losing interest. Because that's the human nature. Is what's over the next horizon.
Yeah.
There's not a better place to build for a stepping off point. If you're able to build a colony, or, because you have all the raw materials right there.
Yeah. Science fiction's full of it.
Right.
Everybody knows that that's the best place. The Man Who Sold the Moon is probably one of the best books you can read.
Who sold or stole?
Sold. Yeah.
May have to check it out.
Heinlein.
Okay, yeah. Talk about a visionary.
He was a bit of a weirdo too.
Yeah, look at
there's a lot of. Some of those books, they're a little racy, and They make even some of these modern LGBT things sound a little bit tame.
Well, to each their own, I guess.
I mean, he wrote around it, but
Oh, my
Robert, I
dog.
think you have issues.
Man, my dog just farted in the fan. Oh, dang.
Isn't that why we do this on
Oh.
StreamYard now?
Huh?
Isn't that why we do this on StreamYard now?
Thank God, dang. Now he's looking at himself like, where did
What was it?
Oh, my eyes are watering. Oh, God.
I've got some spray over here, but I don't think it's going to do you any good.
Oh. Oh, man. Maybe we need to weaponize that. Jeez.
Oh, trust me, they'll try, or they probably already have.
Yeah.
Fart spray in a
Oh,
can.
that's bad. Oh. Well, that's a showstopper.
That'll go on our blooper reel.
No, that's bad. But
That's
I
bad.
didn't want to open my mouth. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. Talk.
I'm too busy laughing at you, man. So anyway, aliens.
Oh.
I mean, I think there might be just taunting us. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
look.
could
Go
be.
ahead. Take a shot at me. Oh, stupid little monkeys. I mean, we can't hit them. Like, Red Baron outflew one, obviously.
Right.
Obviously, they
No.
must have accidents.
No, that was a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh, I'm gonna kick him outside all night tonight. Dang.
But besides war zones, we see aliens, or we see UFOs in classical art going back hundreds of years. Not just
Yeah.
battles, but I mean, you see these paintings that are obvious. They've got a saucer shaped craft in the background. Something like, this has been happening for hundreds of years that we know about.
Yeah.
Battlefields
But
or
again-
no. So
Yeah. Again, though, I mean, it's where all the speculation comes in. What do we not know about it? That
right.
I mean, anybody that listens to us knows that we are extremely curious and we like finding answers, but we even though we'll never find the true answer we're looking for.
We like making
But-
up things too, just to
But
see how
yeah,
it plays
we
out.
do.
Speculation is
Yeah,
fun.
but it is. But we try to come up with something plausible to where, the other guy's not like, well, you're an idiot and that's never going to work, but it's something plausible. And not saying we believe it's set in stone, but I think there's something to a lot of these thoughts and assumptions,
Right.
maybe, I mean, even if it is a sliver of fact,
right. And
so obviously don't take us for fact unless we present you a fact, but
we like to speculate, but I mean, it is a fact that these craft or what have you show up in art stories and accounts going back hundreds and hundreds of years. What are they? Why are they here? And why do they show up in war zones? Well, they show up in war zones. They show up, seems to be wherever there's something interesting going on. We see them in the backgrounds of these paintings that depict people in what look like some sort of flying craft. I mean, there's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some interesting pictures. I mean,
they claim to even have them in hieroglyphs and things like that, even farther past, the medieval time or the Renaissance or anything like that.
Well, there's cave drawings.
Mm-hmm. Look at the star people, the Hopi star people.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to share one if I can figure out this whole share thing. Share screen. And see, I might figure this out. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep. So this is a cave painting.
I can't read French.
You cretin. I don't know why you cannot read. I can make fun of it, but yeah, this is a cave painting. There's all kinds of stuff like that.
Is that? I was gonna make fun of it, but
I mean, you can. And
yeah. Something about something pleasures millionaires or something. I don't know, but
I mean, here's another one that let me see if I'm still smart enough to do this. I used to be really good with technology, and now it seems like I am not so anymore. How's that?
Yep, I've seen that one.
Yep. And in the painting of this painting, there's actually two of them. They look kind of like they're chasing each other.
Yeah. What's up with the Cheerios?
You know what? It's just I like Cheerios, and they keep my cholesterol down.
Fair enough. I just wasn't sure if there was some kind of tie-in to it, because I see the elongated head.
Yeah, I mean,
like UFOs.
A trip through my Pinterest boards is a trip to Crazyland, because I do a lot of show research for pictures and stuff,
right,
on Pinterest, just for the images, so I can share the images.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you're going to find all kinds of weird crap.
What's that one on the bottom left? Is like different UFOs?
Yes. Let me hop on there and see if I can change that. That one?
No, I guess bottom left of my screen.
I see. That one.
Yeah.
So these are different UFOs. Have they been driven from different years?
Okay.
So they don't really. They got kind of weird looking in the 70s, but there was a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So I mean,
well, that's probably about the time like the 1972 one. It's probably about the time the station wagon came out. So they had to upgrade, I mean,
right?
I mean, did they have a backwards facing seat?
I don't know. I found one picture that I found really intriguing, and let's see if I can find that. Yeah, look like they're shooting guns out of some sort of saucer or a carpet or something. What the? I don't know. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on there.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of art throughout history that depicts this stuff.
Yeah.
Chris has got me my other left, Marky.
I mean, it's got to be something. We know they're real now, right? I mean, we know. I mean, even the Pentagon, the government has all come out. Yeah, these are real. And some of them they're saying, we don't know where they come from, what they are, if they're otherworldly, if they're another countries, that something surpassed us in military technology. I mean, part of me thinks it's all the above in some aspects. But like with the Nimitz Encounter, they were coming out of 80,000 feet.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
we don't have anything that we know of that flies that high.
No.
I mean,
Not
I don't
that
remember
actually flies.
Right. I don't remember the service ceiling of the SR-71, but I don't believe it was 80. Was it 80,000 feet? I don't remember.
I don't have any
I might look it up.
That's what I do. I get curious and just start looking stuff up.
How do you spell ceiling?
CEILING.
Of the SR-71. Let's see what we got here. Obviously, it says the A-12. Groom Lake, SR-71, overview, design, airframe, canopy, shape, threat avoidance.
They may not have it up there because they may consider it still top secret.
And it may be. So, 80,000 feet.
80,000 feet. That's...
Yep. So, but they were coming out of 80,000 feet.
Right.
They weren't flying to 80,000 feet.
This brings up something. Okay, go ahead.
We'll say plus, if you remember the story, if not, if y'all listening haven't watched or heard the story of the Nimitz Encounter, go watch, find it on YouTube, something like that. It's a good hour video, really good. But it talks about Commander Fravor, the lead pilot, flying over to a real world tasking just out by the Catalina Island, off of California. And when he got to the area, he saw something in the water. It was huge, like a submarine or something. When they saw the Tic Tacs, and it was going under the water, and these craft were coming out of 80,000 feet. We need to get Gary on and have him talk a little bit more about it.
We do.
I think he would do this a lot more justice than we can, because that's his world. He has UAPX now. And I don't know we haven't talked to him in a long time, so we need to figure out what the heck he's up to. I know he just got finished with
he did a drive-by on us a while back, but that was...
Yeah, he did. Super good guy. Really good guy.
Awesome.
But there's so much that we have no clue as to what it is. The common rabble, we don't know what it is. I mean, we're not meant to know.
I just had a crazy thought, though. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Okay, the SR-71 was actually developed from an aircraft called the A-12 that was designed, it looks just like the SR-71 almost. Mm-hmm. It was designed as an interceptor, except it didn't work because it was faster than its own missiles. Yeah. What were they trying to intercept at 80,000 feet? Is what I want to know.
There you go. I'm sure they will say something along the lines of, they can make it from here to Europe or here to Russia within a matter of minutes, a couple of hours or an hour or whatever. Because it flew from LA to New York in just right at an hour, maybe a couple of minutes, like an hour and 6 minutes or something like that. I don't remember.
Super fast.
But the max speed was 2,200 miles per hour. Mach 3.3.
What was the A-12 designed to intercept? That begs a question.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Not to mention, I mean, when I think SR-71, They did away with that, in the 80s, maybe early 90s when they decommissioned it.
Something like that.
What is there to replace it? I mean, they said, well, they have satellites. They have, all this technology. They can zoom in and read a dime. True. But it can't be over a zone where you need to go, then without something there, I mean, they could, and rumor has it, is the Aurora project, the SR-72 or whatever it is. SR-72. It's kind of funny.
Here you go. There's the A-12. Look familiar?
Looks just like it.
Yeah. In fact, they converted several of them into SR-71s.
Right.
So they were weaponizing it and just couldn't make it work. Or could they?
Right.
So
now here is little, if anything, is really known about this. But it's been talked about for a long time. The SR-72, the Aurora.
Yeah, I mean,
hypersonic reconnaissance strategic UAV. Not to mention the UAVs. I mean, we're talking about this. This says something about along the lines of, unconfirmed reports at 2000 or in 2007. Development work on the SR-72 was first published by the Aviation Week in Space Technology on 1 November 2013. Whoa, I bet messed up. I bet closed the wrong window. But what has replaced it? That's my question. With what technology? Because the SR-71 was built in the late 50s. Early 60s.
Right. I mean, it's an old aircraft.
Now you start hearing things in the ufology space about the TR-3B.
I have not heard of that one.
You've never heard of the TR-3B?
I have not.
Okay.
I must
Did
be
you
living
watch
under a rock.
Did you watch the X-Files when it rebooted?
No, I did not.
Here a couple years ago.
I'm going to, I'm a nut for sci-fi and conspiracies, but I only watched the first season of the X-Files.
Right. It is
when they first aired.
Well, this is off military.com. It says it doesn't exist officially. It uses high pressure mercury accelerated by nuclear energy. Oh, come on. Pop-ups quit. It doesn't exist officially. It uses highly pressured mercury accelerated by nuclear energy to produce a plasma that creates a field of anti-gravity around the ship. Conventional thrusters located at the tips of the craft allow it to perform all manner of rapid high-speed maneuvers along all three axes. Interestingly, the plasma generated also reduces radar signature significantly, so it'll be almost invisible on radar and remain undetected. This literally means they can go anywhere to any country it likes without being detected by air traffic control or air defense systems.
I'll have to be looking into that.
It is. Let me show you. I'll get more into it here in a second. The triangular shaped craft, right, is what's theorized to be the TR-3B.
We've been seeing those a lot lately.
Yes. With the
and
caveat,
we've been getting good images of them.
Right. But military designation, T is training, and R is reconnaissance. You have a T-38, the Goshawk, or whatever it's called, the trainer aircraft. Again, R is like the SR-71. R is reconnaissance. S is supersonic reconnaissance. That's just military designation for the aircraft. The first two, or the first letter or two letters, like the F-18 is the FA-18 is fighter attack. A, like A-10 is attack. C is like cargo. K is refueler. C is cargo. Like a KC-10 or KC-130, 135, something like that. KC-130. Trying to remember the other designation. H, obviously. AH is like attack helicopter. UH is utility helicopter. Different things like that. The only thing that kind of throws a red flag for me for the TR-3B is that those first two initials. I can see it being an R-3B, but with the T, that's a trainer. So that tells me there is something else.
It's not a trainer.
That's not a trainer. Maybe I'm grasping at straws.
No, I think that's a logical conclusion. Chris wants to know if this is something the USA has.
Theorized, yes.
Theoretically, possibly.
Yeah. And there is video footage of triangular shaped aircraft, especially here recently.
Yes,
That's
I've seen
ours.
I saw several today doing research.
And it's anti-gravity. It's a whole different propulsion system. Now, is it something that's been back engineered? That what am I thinking of? Dang it. S4. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank here.
He's gone.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. Bob Lazar. Yeah. One of the most famous names in ufology, and I'm dropping it, So
I do that with my own name, Phil. It's okay.
Is it something that he was talking about? They're working for S4 for the time that he did. Is it something that they were in the process that technology is allowed? Our technology has allowed us to catch up to that technology and be able to steal that design or something like that to where we can incorporate it into our own. And it's crazy because it was, all right, bear with me now. This was on YouTube. Okay. So, great great spot for research is YouTube, so you don't know what's real or not, but it stood out to me for one reason. I remember as a kid, this guy who was telling a story, he was blacked out, they had the whole voice changing thing like that. I don't know why, because they could trace it, but he talked about doing a magazine cover, right? He was an artist, and he drew a magazine cover for Popular Science. It wasn't Popular Mechanics, it was Popular Science. And I remember this magazine because when I was a kid, I got it. I had the magazine. I remember it. It was one of the first ideas for a vectoring exhaust system because I've been in love with aircraft all my life. And that's why I wanted it, because it had that cool ass airplane. It looked like an F-16, but it had vector exhaust on it, kind of like what's on the F-22. And this is about the same time ish, minus a few years probably. But I remember the magazine cover so well. And he was invited to go along with by one of his friends and another mutual friend to go to an air show. I want to say it may have been Nellis, something out by Vegas or something out in the desert. And he was unable to go because he had a hard deadline. But the other friend that wasn't in the military told him the story that when they got to this air show, they did all the whole oohs and ahs of the acrobatics and all that, which they're crazy cool. I love watching air shows. But they said they had another conference, I guess, going on that they were allowed into. or at least his one friend was in the military, but somehow this guy got in, and it was all military brass. And they were showing this craft. And in the video, it showed everything. I mean, he was talking designs, and he showed the blueprints and designs and all that. I went back to watch it later, and it's gone. But they said this craft, you ever seen the videos of the German Die Glocke or whatever?
Yes.
You know, the bell. It's kind of, they said it's kind of what it looked like. And it was sitting there floating. Uncontrolled. It was just sitting there in the middle of this hangar, just floating. And the guy drew the picture from what he could see. You know, one side was, you know, like one, it's like segmented to where like the bottom was turning one way, the top was turning another, you know, to maintain stability, I guess, you know, kind of like a dual rotor helicopter. You know, each rotor turns a different way. You know, then they left, and then his friend that wasn't in the military told him all about it. So he drew up the drawing, you know, had like a 3-man crew in the middle of it. And it was all, I want to say vibration dampening, but no, it wasn't,
radar dampening,
inertial dampening. You know, because I mean, the way these craft turn and raise and lower altitude and the speeds they go, a human being would be mush if there wasn't something there to stop him just by just easy physics. You know, so they had to have an inertial dampener to prevent that, you know, prevent you from going flying one way or another and splattering everywhere. But they said that, you know, again, this is in the 80s, you know, they were talking, there was an inertial dampening system to be able to stop this, you know, that from happening. It was a 3-man crew. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, is this a predecessor to the 3R or TR3B?
Could be. It could have been one of the first tests.
I mean, there's so many different cool videos out there. And with technology today, it's hard to tell unless you're trained to say whether this is real or not. You know, it really is. But I find it really intriguing.
You can fake almost anything on the internet now with digitally. So
I mean,
even people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch it. If I don't know if anybody in the chat watches it, you know, we just got done watching America's Got Talent. We enjoy watching, you know, watching the different talents and the shows and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. And one of the people that placed in like the top 5, that's what they did. They had somebody that was nearly the same build as the host or the judges, and they superimposed their faces, making them look like they were on stage. I mean, that's a deep fake if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
I mean, what's to say that they're not going to use it during an election? What's to say? I mean, we're getting off on a tangent, but again, technology is here.
Yeah.
You know, they had a holographic booth to where they were talking to their families. Their families were in this booth talking to them like they were standing there. It looked just like them. And this is like, now, this is what's happening right now. This is stuff that is there. It may be early in the technology for us, but if we're talking 50 years advanced, you know, or up to 50 years advanced in military technology, what do they have?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I want to know.
Yeah, what do they really have?
You know, I mean, it's crazy to think about. I think if a guy sat there and tried to think about it, he would drive himself mad.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
You know, I mean, even if you just try to imagine, I mean, the crap that we see, you know, from our generation, what we have seen growing up in the 70s and 80s, the stuff that we've seen, the old freaking cabinet TVs and big giant tube TVs and small black and white tube TVs to now. I remember the first TV we got where I wasn't on the remote.
Yeah. Do you remember the ultrasonic remotes that used sound?
No, we never had. I was always the remote. I guess I was ultrasonic because I couldn't really say nothing. Because Dad's like, "Go change the channel." All right, you get up from whatever you're doing. He'd call you in the room. Hey, go change the channel. So, all right, you'd use the pliers because the damn knob broke.
I was also the antenna rotor and went out and stood outside the door. A little bit to the left, a little bit. Oh, right there. Don't move.
Don't go back.
Yep. Don't let go. Grab a hold of it. I want to watch this.
Right, and you stand out there in the cold, getting rained on. Like shit. Hurry up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to know is what is out there right now. Shane, hopefully we come up with a cure for skin. Yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need that. And Mom, she's like, "Yep, you're right." Yeah, and it just I just find this curious, to think about what else is out there that's ours. I'm not like I said earlier, I'm not convinced that all of these craft are extraterrestrial or I think a lot of it is ours or another nation's. But for as long as they've been around, some of them have to be something from somewhere else or some other time. That's something we haven't even talked about.
No, we haven't. Some other dimension, some other time, or what? I don't know.
So what does that look like? Are they trying to? Who knows? We could speculate a whole nother show on that, on both of those subjects.
We can talk about this for months.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to because our friends at the UFO Garage take care of it for us.
Absolutely. And if you guys don't watch or listen to them, by all means, go check them out. They've been on our show a few times early on. They were both tied up tonight, so they weren't able to make it. We invited them on, but we do need to also get on with Gary, get him to come jump on with us sometime, and Ben and Joe, definitely. So
yeah, yep.
Willie. Got some big things coming. We're looking at probably mid-October now. We've been talking about it for a while, but we're starting to come together with it, starting to get ideas pushing around. Mark and I will be doing a totally separate show on the Odd House Network. We're going to be going back to what we were when we started. Equally as bad. Yeah. My mom said the winter wind would blow the antenna down and you'd be the one to go put it in the freezing rain and fix it. Yeah. But we decided that for the time being, we're going to see how it works out with the network. We're going to be doing 2 shows a month on the Odd House Network. We're hoping to have just strictly guests on. That's our hope. Do guest interviews. We've got a couple of people in mind for our first couple of shows. Probably we're talking maybe Sundays because and they're going to be mostly pre-recorded as it stands right now. We may do some live, but they'll probably be pre-recorded shows and they'll be posting. That way we can kind of stay ahead of it, especially and we can focus on these 2 shows that we do here, on the Fringe and What If Tomorrow. We'll call it What If Tomorrow as well, but it's just going to be strictly for the Odd House Network. It's exciting. We've already There's a lot of things in work. So stay tuned for that, because we're definitely going to be pushing it, because all these guys that are involved with this, Ben and Joe, Willie, Sonny, I think Chad and Spooky are the only guys that haven't been on the show, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
All really good guys. Chad is kind of hard to catch him because he works nights. So go check his podcast out, the Chad Smith podcast. Definitely. Then you have tomorrow night, Ben and Joel will be on YouTube. Go look up UFO Garage. And then Friday nights is Paranormal Chop Shop. Willie is getting stuff lined out for his new show to come up. So once we pull the trigger, you guys, we would appreciate your support. And go support these guys as well. They all work extremely hard to do these shows. I mean, if anybody knows me, Mark and I definitely know how much work goes into shows. It may not seem like much, but it's a lot. And yeah, definitely. I mean, and Sonny, I mean, you guys know you guys are more welcome anytime. But definitely go support Sonny and all these guys. I can't speak highly enough for them all. Just great guys. And it's all, and they're genuine. That's what I like about them. All of them. What you see is what you get. Just like us. We're goofy, try to be funny. Half the time it falls flat. We're not comedians, but who cares? We're here to have fun. So, but these guys, I mean, go support them. Definitely, please go support them. Also, speaking of support, this Saturday, I'm going to try to get this out tomorrow night. Which will be Thursday, January 22nd. Man, I'm all screwed up. Last week, or Monday was February. I'm losing time here, Mark.
It's aliens, I'm telling you.
It's got to be. I'm losing time. We worked too many hours. Tomorrow, I'm all screwed up now. Tomorrow, January. Say it for me, Mark.
September.
Yes.
September.
September 22nd. When this supposed to be the 22nd, the 24th, right? I don't want to be all screwed up here.
24th, yes, Saturday the 24th.
Saturday the 24th is the 4th annual SEK Bordertown Paranormal Paracon. You guys heard us talk about it a lot. It's a great time. A lot of panelists. It's going to be a lot of people there, experiencers, ghost hunters, mediums, vendors there selling some cool stuff. Go check their site out on YouTube, not YouTube, Facebook. Check them out. See what they've got. Jess and Pam have been posting stuff left and right up there as the upcoming of the Paracon. We're happy to be a part of it. I mean, obviously Mark's already a part of it because he's in that group. But it's a lot of fun, and I do appreciate them letting us intrude and do what we do. It just adds to it, I think, and it's a lot of fun. We love hearing your stories. Speaking of that, I have to get it put up on the group. What If Tomorrow podcast group over on Facebook. Come join us. I'm going to post a link giving you the details and the contact address, probably through our email, about sharing your stories, your paranormal stories. I don't care what it is. It could be Bigfoot riding a chupacabra, fighting a wolf man or a dog man, or aliens, alien abduction, ghosts, poltergeists, you name it. We want to hear your story. If you come to us with your stories, you will not get judged at all, because, if you guys have been around for a while, Mark and I have our experiences as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to judge you. We want to hear your stories. We want to reach out and give you a place to go to where you're comfortable sharing that story.
Yeah.
You'll never hear us make fun of somebody.
And if you don't want to read it, or
stories like that,
I mean, you can share it to us in text and we can read it.
Yeah.
Write it out.
Yeah. We'd be happy to read it on the show. We'd love to hear your stories. Yeah, by all means. But if you're in the area this Saturday, come check it out.
Yeah.
Or if you're making plans to come from afar, come check it out.
Yep.
by all means,
All the details
it's
are on
worth
our Facebook page, Southeast Kansas Bordertown Paranormal Society. So check it out.
So I don't think I really have anything else. If you want to share your stories direct, our email, whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com for the time being. I talked with Ben from UFO Garage. He's the guy that created our website. We're going to update it, get some things changed around, and I'm going to see about getting a website email address on there. That way we just have that to focus on. So by all means, if you don't remember the website or the email, it's going to be in the show notes. They all are. Go to our website, What If Tomorrow Media, go down to the contact and you'll email us from there. But I'm done. I'm good. Mark, you?
I'm good.
Folks, it's been a fun episode. We definitely appreciate you taking your time, hanging out with us. Thanks for all the people that have showed up. You got Unidentified S4, Sonny, Ben, Cass. Definitely appreciate you guys showing up, hanging out. Shane, my mom, Chris, Andrew, you guys are all always here. Jess, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy the chat. But with that being said, folks, we will see you next episode.
Y'all have a good night.